Preppy, it's Thomas Lawrence, I'm TJ Holmes. We're discussing Week 8 Prep Football Media Poll this week. There's been a big shakeup in Division 1, with Chico beating Paradise by 1 in double overtime last week. Right now, Paradise is able to hold on to the #1 spot in Division 1. 3 first-place votes. Chico got 5 first-place votes, so even though they had the more votes and everything to be the top team, Paradise's strength showed across the all levels to hang on to that #1 spot.
Yeah, the tough week for Enterprise. They beat their rival Foothill at home, a top 5 team too, and they fall a place. They fall down. The team that takes over Chico, a team they beat at home earlier this year, and I think it's just beating Paradise is just such a tough thing to do, especially in the last couple of years, and I think that's what got them the respect and pushed them past Enterprise for the time being.
Yeah, right now we see the tightest race that we've had in any division this year. With 3 teams getting first place votes, with Enterprise getting 3 of those 11. All 3 of those top teams with Paradise, Chico, and Enterprise have all beaten each other by 1 point, so it's kind of that 3-way tie right now, and it's really such a tight race. It's exciting. It's giving us something new to talk about, getting a big shakeup in these, in this division, and really to see how things are going to play out. You look at Paradise, they should, they're expected to win out the rest of the season. Enterprise is expected to win the rest of their league games. Chico has a big one against Foothill, on Friday, and that should really determine if this could end up in a 3-way tie and have it come down to playoff points instead of head-to-head.
You mentioned Foothill, they're down in that 4 spot. Definitely a contending team still, I think, in most people's minds, but definitively below that big 3 at the top right now. And Shasta, kind of where they've been all year, kind of laying low at number 5. And what they've done this year is they've had flashes of brilliance here and there. They've had a lot of trouble on defense, but they've also beaten the teams that they should beat, basically, to chalk, and they've lost to the 2 teams that most people would say they'd wager to lose to, Foothill and West Valley. And so, I'm not going to get into it yet, but River Bowl coming up in a couple of weeks will be when they really get put on the stage here late in the year to see where they're at.
Yeah, then moving on to D2, you got Sutter Unanimous at #1, and West Valley's at #2 again this week. They handed Wairika their first loss, and that dropped Wairika from 4th to 5th. Wairika kind of showed their true colors. They've only been playing Oregon teams and lower level teams and everything. Wairika handed to them this last week, and that dropped them, handed them that first loss. And then you look at CV, who's at #3. They've been climbing. They beat West Valley a little over a week ago, and that really shows that CV, that win over West Valley wasn't a fluke.
And CV has the inside track to the NAL crown now, or at least a good chance at an inside track, and they really enjoyed that spotlight the first week they really had it, and kept things going after beating West Valley and trying to prove to everyone that this wasn't just a slip up by West Valley, or this wasn't our masterpiece this week. They go to Corning, and a depleted team, but they put up 51 points, and this is a team who has not just one of the toughest schedules of any Division II team, but the beginning part of their schedule is tough as most teams in the northern section, and they got through it a little bruised and battered. They lost Dylan Sindorf. He's still been out. He broke his fibula earlier in the year. Cody Connor's probably going to be gone a couple weeks with a knee injury, but they're here. They're 3-4 now, and they're a few weeks away from possibly having a high seed in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's why you look at they're not #3 and they're 3-4. That's a really tough 3-4 right now.
Really good 3-4.
Yeah, and they played tough teams. They battled through adversity with injury, so they're a lot better than that 3-4 record really says. And then looking at the rest of the divisions, you got Pierce at #1 unanimously in Division 3 again. Trinity lost to an upper division team in Live Oak last week, so that they were still able to hold on to their #2 spot in D3. Portola's unanimous once again in D4. And then looking down 8-man football, Reading Christian picked up 2 first-place votes to get to 8 now, 8 of the 11 votes, and it's their biggest lead that they've had in 8-man football.
Yeah, and they beat the defending champs, beat Valley at home to do it too.
Yeah, so check out preppy.com for everything regarding blogs, video highlights, and everything else in high school sports.